What's this band's name?
Oh, somewhere south of here.
Somewhere south of here.
If you're looking for some good alt rock music,
Yeah.
Punk alt rock. I don't know.
Alt?
I don't know.
Punk
Punk alt. Yeah, I don't know what they classify
We should
themselves
probably
as.
clap so we actually like have a
Yeah, that'd be easiest.
can actually start for real. Okay. Is that loud enough?
Yeah, it was good
Is
enough.
that a little bitch clap?
A little bitch clap.
You just when you looked up at your hat, your eyes went like this. At first, when you would look up at your hat, I think as we begin CockTalk, the podcast episode number 5. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here with us. Thanks for hanging out with us and listening. Joel does indeed. That is not CGI. It is not a filter.
It's a real deal.
This is a real Stetson. Is it a Stetson?
No, God, no. I don't have that kind of money. I don't have Stetson money. Cody James, still a nice quality
Cody's a great guy.
He's a good guy.
Makes good hats.
He does. He's it's not bad. But yeah, it was getting cold in Michigan, and I was like, you know what?
Got to get a bucket.
I really want a cowboy hat. So I got my first felt, and I was excited about it.
I love it. My first cowboy hat I bought when I was 17, and we used to go. There's a place in Livonia actually. What's it called? Scott Colburn's, I think is what it's called.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's still there.
I don't think it is.
No,
but because I remember like where the hell.
You know what? If they could have just held out till Yellowstone was popular, that store would probably be rocking again.
They would have taken off for sure.
Yeah, we were there, and I was like, it'd be so cool to have a cowboy hat. And this would have been 2003, 4, somewhere in there. And my friend's mom was with us, and she's like, "I'm gonna buy you a cowboy hat." I was like, "Ooh, you will?"
Free cowboy hat.
And she, it was like a $60, $70 cowboy hat that my friend's mom just bought me. But yeah, anyways.
There's only one thing better than a cowboy hat. A free cowboy hat.
A free cowboy, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So side story.
Was that free?
No, it wasn't. But I was working a freelance gig, doing some AV stuff, and one of the guys I was working with, the event manager was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take everyone out to Five Guys for lunch," and I was like, "Great,
yeah,
I love Five Guys." She's like, "That's okay," and I said, "Yeah, it's okay, but there's only one thing better than Five Guys:
a free cowboy hat with Five Guys."
She said, "What's that?" And everybody in the room looked at me as if I was talking to everybody. And she goes, "What's that?" And some guy out of the back goes, "Six Guys?" And everybody's like, "The fuck are you talking about, dude?" Like, no, I was gonna say free Five Guys.
He was
man.
into some weird things.
Yeah, no, he's
one of my buddies got a brand new number in college. Hey, I got a new phone. I got a new number. Here's my new number. He got a voicemail before he gave out anyone the number, so it was like somebody calling for the old number, and the voicemail was like, "Hey, man, it's Pat. I just want to let you know I'm super excited for the man party tonight. I'm bringing over all my gear." And like, it was the weirdest
now
thing.
I want to know, Pat, where's this party at? What's happening here?
Yeah, we tried. We tried real hard to like, come on.
That'd been good. That would have been good.
Yeah.
What the hell did you put in this drink?
Okay, yeah. So this is a beautiful drink. This is,
this is
my take on a whiskey sour.
Okay.
Whiskey sour is probably if there is a wedding drink that I have, it's like I'm going to a whiskey sour. I mean, I'll drink something. Some weddings won't let you drink neat, right? Like they're like, "Oh no, sorry, we can't."
Venues.
A lot of times they're like, "Well, we just have to add ice," and you're like, "Okay, fine, just add some ice," and then you drink it fast enough, and the ice is just kind of there along for the ride. But yeah, I like whiskey sours. I can't tell you how many weddings I've forgotten because of whiskey sours. But maybe my own. No, I remember my own. But
wake up the next morning. Who is this woman? It's my wife.
I haven't been married that many times. Okay, so yeah, this whiskey sour. I mean, I guess the thing that makes it unique, but really what's supposed to be in a whiskey sour, are the egg whites, which did indeed come from your backyard chickens.
They did.
So there you go. Our homesteading experience in a drink. Unfortunately, we can't grow lemons in Michigan. Otherwise, we totally would drop some lemons in there that we grew. But there's lemon. You made the simple syrup. You harvested the eggs from your beautiful chickens out back, and then there's this Old Forester whiskey in there. And
so I want to touch on this though, because I feel like we're gonna get a lot of comments, be like, "Oh, you got the cheap shit as the bottom shelf Old Forester."
100 proof.
Honestly, man, I'm not saying I feel like there's gonna be a lot of comments be like, "Well, you just like cheap whiskey because you can't afford real whiskey. I've had expensive whiskey, and it's really good. But for $27, this is some of the best whiskey you can buy for $27. In my opinion, my humble, unqualified opinion, this is some of the best.
I mean, all those like middle of the road, you've got Old Forester, Buffalo Trace and Maker's Mark, they're not much more expensive.
No.
They're really, they have a different vibe to them, but this is a great, like, hey, I want to make a whiskey sour where like the whiskey is not the center point of this drink. It's the sour mix.
Right.
Now you can go buy a sour mix, but it's going to probably have high fructose corn syrup in it. Yep. It's going to have a whole bunch of crap in it, tons of sugar. This is just pure lemon squeezed out and then some homemade simple syrup. So no crap in this. And you take it all, you shake it, and it creates this beautiful little froth here.
So there is for people that don't know about the froth for an egg white, there is a technique. So you're supposed to shake the egg white dry. So no ice first.
Right.
Get it going and then add ice for the second shake.
Yes, don't make that mistake.
Yeah.
Which
really helps.
We did jump the gun a little bit. We took a few sips. We dropped the big giant whiskey cube in here. There was a lot more froth.
There was a lot of froth once the ice cube got in there.
But
we're going to go through this really quick. At least I am.
This is my favorite part about this drink. There's 5 fucking grams of protein in this drink. How many drinks can you say, hey, there's protein in that alcoholic drink?
If you're trying to bulk up, hey,
this is the
drink for you. Yeah. I love
I'm not trying to bulk up. I think I'm always trying to bulk up.
I'm just always bulky.
Always bulky.
It's not even that I try to bulk. It's just always bulky.
Just doing it.
It's always bulk season for me. Yeah. Unfortunately.
All right. So on today's show, we really wanted to dive into some, some more like philosophical ideas. We were actually, our initial plan was to have Tyler here. Tyler's sick. Boo-hoo. Not boo-hoo. That was kind of douchey.
We are actually sad Tyler's not here.
We were. We wanted him here, and then your wife was going to be on the show, and she's sick too. So everybody is down for the count, which is why we're drinking this immune blaster.
It's a lot of vitamins in there.
A lot of vitamin C in this. Vitamin C, protein, and
whiskey.
Like all the
what
goodies.
More could you want?
I mean, shoot, it's just going to clear us right out.
You can pretty much supplement your entire diet with just this drink.
Yeah. Maybe don't have whiskey in it every time, but if you just had lemon, egg whites, and a little sugar.
Because you've got protein, you've got low calories, like. You've got your fats.
Somebody out there is like, well, you guys are gonna get salmonella because you're having egg whites.
Have you seen that guy? There's a guy on social media. Yes. He's like over 30 days into eating raw chicken every single day. He posts a video every day of him eating raw chicken.
Yes.
And he is still not sick.
You think it was, I'm going to eat raw chicken every day until I get a tummy ache.
Yes.
And I want to say he's on day like 25 or something.
No, he's over a month now. It's like 33 days now. He keeps popping up in my newsfeed.
Same, because it's hilarious.
And I keep watching it because it's the most disgusting thing to watch him get sick.
And he's like, all right, here we go. I'm going to put this chicken into a blender and make a protein shake. And
there was one he almost got me. It was like day 18 or something where he was like in a bib, like in a hospital gown. And he's like, all right, so finally got sick. And here we are. So this is my proof video that I got sick. And then he's like, sick of not eating more chicken. And then this doctor walks in with a plate of chicken. He's like, here's your chicken. You need a stat. And him and the doctor both started eating raw chicken. And I was like, what the fuck?
I love it.
I mean,
it's a genius account because that account is brilliant. Like 30 days old and he has hundreds of thousands of followers.
Yeah. It's wild. And I don't know what the point of it is. I don't know if
it's
like
it's actually to prove that raw meat doesn't actually hurt you. That what we've grown to understand or learned to understand about raw meat is that it's not actually going to make you sick. And by and large, if you look at the chances of getting something like salmonella poisoning from chicken, it is very, very, very small compared to lettuce.
I think a big
right. So it is like almost a guarantee that at some point, if you eat a lot of lettuce, you are going to get salmonella poisoning, which is crazy to think about.
I think a big part of it is just this lack of quality control with our food supply, obviously. So
I don't know what kind of chicken he's like. Is he getting a chicken off of like, somebody where he knows where the chicken's coming from?
I would
just
assume
like straight
so.
grocery store chicken.
I wouldn't trust grocery store chicken.
Yeah.
I'll eat grocery store chicken, but I'm not undercooking or not cooking grocery store chicken. I thought it was weird too. I used to work for a burger place. I used to manage a burger place down in Florida. And I worked at the commissary for a while where they prepare all of the burger meat. And you'd get the big slabs of brisket and sterling, and then we'd, cut them up in slices, and then they'd be blended together. All 100% grass-fed beef, all natural. It came from a really, really good source. But I remember sitting there cutting it up for the first time, like, oh yeah, they're teaching me like, hey, this is how you cut this is how you trim it, and this is how it's going to go in the grinder. And the guy I was working with, he just like literally took a cut and then just like ate a bite of it. And I was like, bro, that's just came out the fridge. Like it's not rare, it's not blue. Like that literally just came out of the fridge. And he's like, if the meat comes from a good source, you're not going to get sick. And I was like, okay, so what does this taste like? So I started eating literally just pure raw meat. It's still cold, and it tastes like a rare burger. Oh. And I was like, interesting. So it was kind of like this, like, hey, we're testing this. Make sure the meat tastes good. Like, make sure like nobody's going to get sick. And
because I guess if you taste it and it tastes nasty, you just spit it out. And it'll be fine.
Yep.
Yeah, that's I like rare meat. So I mean, but I've never gone raw. Yeah, I have raw dogged it, but I have never.
Well, you do have 2 kids.
Well, that's true.
So clearly,
yeah, it's so okay. So I know we're trying to get to what we're actually going to talk about on the show. So we'll try to let you know right now what we're going to talk about. We wanted to talk a little bit philosophical about kind of the responsibilities that we have around our house, not necessarily just on the homestead, but we'll start off talking, what our role is on the homestead. We're married, so what our wives' role is on our homestead, what our children's role is on the homestead, and how us as husbands have taken the lead in some of those things and what that looks like.
Yep.
Just that personal responsibility where I think it is very, very easy to just, when you're married and you can lean on your husband, on your partner, and just go, I don't really want to do this. Maybe you'll do this, and you just kind of hope that the other person picks up the slack, and that is a very real temptation. But just we wanted to have that conversation about how do we go about taking that responsibility on, and how we kind of manage that in our house, and what everybody's role is. And I'm sure that it looks different in your family than it does mine, but I think we have a lot of the same vibes.
Yeah. I think for our house it's kind of unique because my wife being a flower farmer, she has.
I thought you were going to say my wife being unique, being a flower, the flower that she is.
she's a flower, all right. What kind of flower? I don't know that I could pinpoint her in a flower. She smells like nice,
Venus,
but she
like a Venus flytrap.
If Venus flytraps smelled like peonies, that would be her. Because she's spicy, man, and I like it. So she's turning red right now. But the fact that she's got her flower farm, which is actually 80 to 90% of our actual garden, and on top of that, she's taking over 100%. She told me today that I have to find a new place to grow vegetables and fruit because she's taking all the flowers, which makes sense because she's actually making money from this.
Right. Absolutely.
But
and that's the direction you go, right? Like sometimes you have an idea of where you're going to go, but you're like, well, we're making it over here and these things over here suck. So let's just go where like the doors open, right?
Right. But she's her 100%, her primary focus is the flowers and all the responsibility for the flowers. She'll pull on me when she needs me to, but I think I've miscut enough stems to where she's just like, I think I can take it from here. But when it comes to the fruits and vegetables, like that's me and grabbing our kids and being like, okay, let's go look at the trellis for the green beans today. Let's see how many green beans that we have. Throw them on your shoulders. You got the big cattle fencing, walk through in our garden for all the hanging beans, and they're able to just kind of pick away. But it fluctuates day to day. Like everybody knows that these things need to be done. Sometimes the responsibility falls on another person because they've got something else that they've got to do.
Right. Yeah, the way I kind of see it is, there's a lot of, especially like coming from a Christian background, there's a lot of like the husband's the leader and blah blah blah. I like to think of it more like a business. And not that your marriage is a business, but I think that your family needs to be run sort of like a business in order for it to be really successful. Like, how many businesses are successful that just like throw stuff onto the wall and see what sticks, and like nobody's managing it, nobody,
right?
Nobody has roles. It's just a free for all. No, it doesn't work. So I like to think of it more like I'm the CEO, and I have buy-in from my wife on all this. So I'm the CEO, but how many CEOs are successful without a great COO or a CFO, somebody who is managing other things? Like the CEO just happens to be maybe the face, but there's a lot of other very important, equally important, and probably like somebody that actually does more crucial things behind the scenes. And that would be my wife. My wife's more like Katie's like she's the CFO, COO, and I'm the CEO. And we absolutely collaborate on everything, but there are things where it's like one of us at certain times can say, no, like this is how it's going to go. And okay.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
That's
because we both have equal like veto power. And we've talked about it. If ultimately it came down to like, we both were super passionate about something and we felt like one way was, and we were pulling in totally different directions, who gets the final say? And it's been, kind of like, all right, Mark, you get the final say. But in how many years have we been married? almost 5 years. Holy crap. Almost 5 years. You've been married for almost...
We're coming up on 10.
10.
Yeah.
We've never come to that place. Like, we've never been in a place where one person has to veto the other person. It's always like...
There's a mutual respect.
We work through it, and like, I don't want to make it... I'm not doing anything without buy-in.
Yeah.
If you can start things, I think sometimes you can tiptoe your way into something without full buy-in, where the other person is kind of like, all right, we'll see where this goes. And honestly, a lot of times it goes nowhere, and then it just kind of disappears. But as far as this homesteading thing, and the totality of it, we walked into it together, but me probably leading it. But then it was her being like, oh, we got to get some more chickens. It's just too fun.
Chicken math.
Chicken math, yes. And that's the way that we approach it, is just, CEO, CFO, OO, whatever you want it. Like, there's, both people are equally important. Both people have an equal share in the vote. Yeah. And we both have kind of figured out along the way what we should be responsible for.
I definitely, from even a third party perspective, see that a lot with you and Katie. Is there are very much times where you're like, I mean, we've got a lot of people at the house at one time, like everybody's hanging out, we've been drinking, we've been eating, the kids are, it's way past their bedtime, they're getting crazy, and it's just like, Mark, grab this, or you're like, Katie, get this, like it's time to go. And like those decisions, everyone's like, there's no ego involved. It's
right.
Yeah. Okay. You see something that I don't, there's a mutual respect there. We grab it and we get it done. And it's really cool. I think that's very unique to relationships nowadays, where I think a lot of people want this idea of equal pull in the relationship, but I think very few people actually achieve it. Because I feel like my wife Kate and I feel like we have very similar dynamic where if I say, no, we're doing this, like this is how this needs to go, she's like, okay. She can disagree with me and she'll be very vocal about her disagreement.
Fine. Yeah, but
it's like, okay, we're going to do it. And, and then in the back of my mind, it's like, man, I really hope I don't screw this up, because then she's going to be right. And then, which usually happens.
And then it happens, yeah.
Yeah, but it's never, so rarely, I probably could count on one hand the amount of times that there's like this pull rank mentality where it's like, no, this has to happen. And usually if that's the case, it's like an emergency situation. Like it's like a decision has to be made and we need to take action now. There's no time for discussion. Follow what I say.
Yeah. Or there's a pretty I think the reason why you have to have somebody who can make the decision, like you have to have somebody who gets to say, we're making this decision. Like this is what we have to do, because invariably someone is going to be scared. Mm-hmm. And that's normal. It's okay. It's allowed. There's decisions that are huge and that can change your whole life, like where you live and where your kids are going to go to school and like what your job's going to be. I mean, I just look at, you guys and we really wanted to have Kate on because we wanted to have her talk, and we will. Kate's Flower Farm. We're just going to put her in the description anyways, because you should just follow her. Especially if you like flowers. But I mean, somebody a wife coming to you going, hey, I want to quit my job and start a flower farm. Mm-hmm. I know it's more nuanced than that, but like, I want to quit my like highly educated job that she had and start a flower farm. A lot of people be like, I don't know, babe. I think you should like start this on the side or something. Yeah. And I think that it takes a lot of courage as the leader of the household, the CEO, to go, yes, this is the right move for our family.
Right.
And then to watch how, like, not just, okay, fine, do it, but like the support behind it and the fostering of all those things, taking your free time and pouring it into that business too. And watching how that has all come together and is like now just starting to boom is really cool to see. And it is the culmination of all this. Like, you are partners, and like, you saw that your partner is unhappy and you made a change. And that was like a very, very brave thing to do, because most people are so tied to their paycheck.
Yeah.
And most people need that security and the stability of a regular paycheck, and to dive out into that is,
I mean, it absolutely was tough. I mean, leaving a full-time job that would, was getting good pay and had benefits to start a flower farm. And then I did the same thing, not much sooner, or not much later. I left.
Are you guys entrepreneurs?
Something like that. Serial entrepreneurs, if that's it. But
you guys like
no, different cereal. But
what if you just started growing you could grow some stuff back there and make some cereal out of it? Then you could actually be a serial entrepreneur. On top of everything you do.
That's it. We'll grow wheat.
We just want to make one box of cereal just so that we could say.
And the ironic part being because Kate has celiac, so she wouldn't even be able to eat it.
Okay, but there's some grain-free cereals that are bomb.
What grain-free cereals do
Costco has them. They have this one. So there's this one that's like straight up Fruit Loops, but it's totally clean and like good ingredients, and it's grain. It's gluten-free. It's amazing.
I think Kate would love that, because
it's freaking expensive. You're like, I think we paid $12 for this thing, and you're like, okay, it's a Costco size cereal thing, cool. And then you open it up, and you're like, the bag is like this. I was like, is this a bag of fruit snacks?
Is this a joke?
But there was that, and then there was also one that was like a chocolate one, and it was made of pure cocoa. So it was gluten-free too. It was like 4 grams of sugar per serving, which is, if you have ever read the back of a nutrition thing of cereal, you know that even stuff where they're like, this is the healthiest cereal ever, 15 grams of sugar included. Even granola has as much sugar as like Frosted Flakes. So I really love cereal.
Yeah.
Used to get these huge bowls of cereal before bed as a kid.
Yeah.
Just cranking on cereal. But now I go back and I look, I'm like, I was probably having 120 grams of sugar before bed.
Yeah, like 800 calories, 400 grams.
But I was
sugar,
playing hockey, so it just all...
Yeah, it all came off. Well, it's funny because when Kate and I were dating and she was still living at her parents' house, is when I'd get off of work at 11 o'clock at night and drive an hour home, and then I would show up at her parents' house. She would like let me in the front door. Everybody's asleep, and her and I would share a bowl of cereal, and then I'd drive back home and go to bed. And it was kind of like hey, we're saying goodnight. Like we're just, we ate so much cereal, and her parents always had at least 10 boxes of cereal in the pantry at all time.
She got celiac from the cereal.
It was all of her habits beforehand.
But yeah, so we'll divvy back in here.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break. Let's refill our drinks because we're both empty.
Yeah,
we'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about kind of preparedness and responsibilities.
All right, sounds good.
Sweet.
All right, welcome back. We I'm sure you didn't go anywhere because that was like a 1 second little maybe a little like cowbell or something like that you can have going on there. But yes, our drinks are refilled, and we will continue the show. Continue talking about personal responsibility in our homestead and with our family. I know where do you see like, have you had this experience where you want to do something on your homestead in particular where your wife isn't totally there yet?
Not necessarily not totally there, but differing opinions for sure of what we should do. I mean, for this year, again, like we talked about, like my wife's flower business is really starting to take off. She's getting a ton of subscriptions, and people like they're wanting to do events and arrangements and all these things, which is great. And again, it makes money versus the fruits and vegetables that I'm growing that isn't making anything. You can argue the offset of costs from grocery stores and stuff, but it's very, very minimal.
Especially when you consider the time that you put in, and unless your time's worth like 50 cents an hour,
right? But so like this year, she's like, hey, I need to expand the garden. And it's like, all right, well, we're in a home which has the property to expand. We definitely have room to expand. But I think what we're kind of stuck is we would like to move. We would like to be, we'd like to move a little bit farther south within the next couple of years. And so it's like resale value, thinking about equity of the home, like who's going to want to come in here and maintain a half-acre garden, especially if it's all flowers, or regardless if it's vegetables and flowers, people, it doesn't matter.
Their lawns.
Yeah, people like their lawns, especially kind of around our area. But so it's like, hey, I need more of the garden for flowers, so we need to expand. And then it's like, well, I don't know if we really want to expand, so maybe we take over more vegetable stuff and we move vegetable stuff somewhere else. And that's when we kind of had that conversation a little bit of like, hey, I might need to. You've got a lot more property than I do.
Down a tree.
We might do some vegetables over at your house.
Yes,
I'll supply the seeds, and we'll rent some land, whatever we have to do. But that allows her to kind of expand her business without having to necessarily take over a huge part of our backyard.
Yeah.
So there's that to it.
I've always wanted to be a land broker.
A land broker.
That's what I'm going to
Okay.
call it. I'll open an LLC and
broker land. But that's a thing though. So if you want to start gardening, but you don't necessarily have the space to do so, you can find a community garden. If you don't have that, there's actually land out there that you can rent land.
Mm-hmm.
And
farmers do it all the time. I mean,
exactly.
A lot of farmers rent large plots of land because in the end, you don't have to have the money to not only buy the land, but then farm it. You just get the money to farm it, which you can get USDA loans. You get all the money without having to spend your own on the seeds, and then you sell it, you pay back your loan, and you get the profits.
Yeah.
It is a very smart way to do business on a farmer's end, but then also on the landowner's end, who maybe like one of my friends, his dad has like 100 acres. What does he doesn't need 100 acres. He just has it and has had it forever. And so I think half of it, just a farmer, like he does agriculture on it, and he gets a little cut every year. It's not a ton, but I think it pays for all his property taxes. Hey, that's
why not?
Yeah, why not? To live once your mortgage is paid off, then at that point you literally have no expenses for paying your house.
I mean, that's a huge part of why you and I started homesteading in the first place, is just like we're sitting there looking at this yard and be like, why are we not doing something with this? Like, why is there no use to this? Yeah. And we've talked about it before. It's just like, having this perfect manicured yard is, some people enjoy that. Some people love spending hours rolling